You wake up in a soft bed. The room is quiet, safe. Your phone lights up, a flood of messages, reminders, meaningless updates from people you barely know. And yet, you check them all, one by one, like a ritual. You sip your coffee, stare out the window. The sun is rising. Everything is fine. But somewhere beneath the surface, something aches. Not loud, not sharp, just there. A dull, persistent emptiness, one you can't quite name. You scroll past carefully curated lives, smiles stretched wide, adventures in faraway cities, motivational quotes layered over golden sunsets. And still, you feel distant, detached, like you're watching life through a glass wall. Even in a room full of people, you feel alone. Voices swirl around you, but none of them touch you. No one sees the quiet storm raging inside. Have you ever noticed how silence can feel heavy? Not the absence of sound, but the presence of something missing. This is the ache of modern life. Not chaos, but numbness. Not pain, but disconnection. The kind that creeps in slowly, quietly, when you're surrounded by everything except meaning. Psychologists call it anomie, a state of normlessness, where the structure of life no longer feels real or binding. Philosophers like Camus called it absurdity, the clash between our deep hunger for meaning and a world that offers none. And yet, we keep going, smiling, posting, performing, because isn't this what we were told to want? You have everything you were told to want, so why does it still feel like something's missing? You live in a world of plenty. A tap delivers clean water. A swipe unlocks endless entertainment. Packages appear at your door before you even remember what you ordered. Everything is faster, easier, more connected than ever before. And yet, we are lonelier, more anxious, more lost. How can a life so full feel so empty? You are not alone in asking this, because this emptiness, this low hum of despair beneath the surface, it isn't a personal flaw. It's not that you're broken. It's that the world around you is. We are the children of progress, raised to believe that comfort equals happiness, that success equals meaning. But material wealth can't hold your hand at 2 a.m., can't answer the question that haunts you in the quiet. Why does none of this feel real? This is not a personal failure. This is a collective sickness, a spiritual malnourishment. In an age obsessed with the physical, a society that worships the visible and ignores the soul, we chase dopamine, not purpose. We consume instead of connect. We mistake stimulation for fulfillment. And in doing so, we forget what it means to truly live. Psychologist Barry Schwartz called it the paradox of choice. Too many options, yet no real direction. Philosopher Eric Fromm warned of a world where we have more, but are less. So now we ask, in an age of instant gratification, have we forgotten what it means to live? To answer that, we turn to a man who faced humanity's darkest hour and found light in meaning in the shadows of one of history's darkest places, Auschwitz. A man watched as everything was taken from him, his family, his freedom, his dignity, stripped down to nothing. Viktor Frankl discovered something the Nazis could not touch: his sense of meaning. Frankl, a neurologist and psychiatrist, survived the unimaginable, not by clinging to hope, but by clinging to purpose. Each day, he chose to live, not for pleasure, not for power, but for the possibility of meaning, even in suffering. He would later write, "Those who have a why to live can bear almost anyhow," a quote from Friedrich Nietzsche, one Frankl returned to again and again. He would go on to found logotherapy, a form of existential analysis, rooted in one simple, powerful truth, that man's deepest drive is not pleasure, but meaning, not to feel good, but to matter. Where Freud believed, we are driven by the pursuit of pleasure, and Adler by the pursuit of power, Frankl offered a third path, the pursuit of purpose. Meaning, he said, could be found in three ways: through work, through love, and through the courage to endure suffering with dignity. This wasn't just theory, it was lived truth. Even in a death camp, he saw people who held on, not because life was easy, but because life still meant something. But what about us? In our modern world, where everything is optimized for comfort, what happens to the soul's hunger for meaning? We are the most stimulated generation in history, and perhaps the most numb. Every second, something begs for our attention. A ping, a scroll, a like, another video, another dopamine hit. But with every swipe, we drift further from ourselves. Distraction becomes our drug, a way to avoid the silence, the stillness, the ache, not because we're lazy, but because we're terrified of what we'll find when all the noise fades away. Carl Jung once warned us, the human psyche cannot survive without myth, ritual, and shadow, that we need the confrontation with darkness, the inner unknown, to truly grow. But modern life has no room for such descent, no initiation, no inward journey, only consumption. We replace myth with marketing, soul with spectacle, and in this endless pursuit of more, we've forgotten how to go deep. Nietzsche's haunting declaration, "God is dead," was not celebration. It was grief. Grief for a world that no longer shares meaning, no longer believes in higher purpose. We've torn down the cathedrals of the sacred, and in their place, built malls, apps, and endless distractions. Take the story of a man named Rehan, a tech worker in his 30s, smart, wealthy, admired, but each night, in the silence of his designer apartment, he lies awake, his chest tight with anxiety. He doesn't know why. On paper, he has it all, but inside, he feels nothing. It's not that life has become harder. It's that it's become emptier, hollowed out of meaning. There is a kind of pain that doesn't scream. It whispers. It lingers. It numbs. It's not the sharp sting of suffering. It's the ache of absence. Not the presence of hardship, but the absence of a reason to endure it. Viktor Frankl saw this clearly. Emptiness doesn't come from suffering itself. It comes when suffering has no purpose. When the why is missing, even the smallest how becomes unbearable. And yet, modern life tells us we shouldn't suffer at all. That discomfort is failure. That sadness is weakness. So we sedate, distract, deny. But the psyche cannot be fooled. Carl Jung warned, when you deny depth, the unconscious begins to rebel. It erupts in dreams, addictions, anxiety, despair, all trying to say, you're not living the life you were meant to live. Soren Kierkegaard called it the sickness unto death, a despair so quiet, you don't even know you're drowning, the despair of never becoming your true self, of forgetting your soul's blueprint. You see it everywhere, in the man with the perfect resume, who feels invisible, in the woman who's constantly busy, yet deeply unfulfilled. We are surrounded by reflections, and still cannot see ourselves. We are not starving for bread. We are starving for why. A man in a room of mirrors, so many angles, so many images, yet none of them show him who he truly is. But here lies the awakening. This emptiness isn't a curse, it's a call. Meaning is not some hidden treasure, waiting in a far-off place. It is not handed to us, nor discovered, in a single moment of clarity. Meaning is forged in pain, in uncertainty, in the quiet decision to keep going, even when nothing makes sense. Viktor Frankl, standing amidst the horrors of Auschwitz, realized a profound truth. Everything can be taken from a person, except one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given circumstance, to choose how to respond, even in a place designed to erase all humanity. Frankl found this flicker of freedom. He could not escape his suffering, but he could give it meaning. Kierkegaard spoke of the leap of faith, the courageous step toward living authentically, without guarantees, to become oneself, not through certainty, but through risk, through choosing to believe that life can matter even when no one proves it will. And Jung taught us that wholeness does not come from light alone. It comes from turning toward the shadow, facing what we fear, what we hide, what we suppress. That's where the soul becomes real. That's where meaning is made. Meaning is not comfort. It is not ease. It is a fire, and you are the forge. Even suffering, when tethered to something greater than itself, a cause, person, a truth, becomes sacred, endurable, transformative. Meaning isn't out there, waiting. It's made in the fires of what you're willing to face. So, how do we begin to create meaning in a world that feels meaningless? Meaning doesn't arrive with fanfare. It returns quietly, in the simplest of things, in moments that ask nothing of you, except to be fully there. Modern life pulls us outward, into noise, image, competition, but meaning calls us inward. So, how do we begin? Number 1, responsibility. Find something worth carrying. A duty, a relationship, a cause, not because it's easy, but because it's yours. Responsibility grounds us. It says, even when life is chaotic, this is mine to hold. Number 2, creativity. Make something that didn't exist before you. A poem, a garden, conversation that changes someone's day. Creation is how the soul speaks, how it says, I was here. Number 3, love and connection. Not performance, not perfection, just presence. Sit with someone without reaching for your phone. Listen without waiting to speak. In a world of illusion, true connection is revolutionary. Number 4, self-transcendence. Step beyond yourself. Serve something bigger. Give without expecting. Suffer if you must, for what is sacred to you. It is there, in that surrender, that meaning becomes real. Lao Tzu once said, to the mind that is still, the whole universe surrenders. Return to stillness, to simplicity, to what is already alive in you. You won't find meaning in the algorithm. You won't find it in the scroll, because in the end, what fills the soul cannot be bought, downloaded, or streamed. Maybe life isn't about having more. Maybe it's about becoming someone who can hold meaning. Maybe the ache you feel isn't failure, isn't weakness, but the soul waking up, longing for depth, in a world of distraction. Remember how this began. That quiet ache, the scrolling, the crowded rooms, the sense that something invisible was missing. That feeling isn't your enemy. It's your invitation to turn inward, to begin again. If you've ever felt that emptiness, you're not broken, you're human, and you're ready. Soft piano builds, because the truth is, the world won't pause for you, but you can pause for you. You can listen for that still, small answer, the whisper beneath the noise, the one that says, there's more to life than what we've been sold. There's meaning to be made, and you're capable of making it. Let that land. Let it breathe. What gives your life meaning, even in the smallest way? Is it someone you love? Something you create? A truth you refuse to abandon? I'd love to hear from you. Please subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments. I read every one. And if this resonated with you, consider subscribing. Here we explore the mind, the soul, and the quiet truths hiding beneath modern life. Thank you for being here. And remember, the search for meaning is the beginning of everything.